Okay, now we're recording.
Okay. Dalen's going to be the official conductor, but before he does, I'm going to just say a couple words. I have, sorry, I went on mute for a second. I have a funeral I'm going into shortly. But I just want to make mention that we are looking into division cars like we've done in the past for a fundraiser. We found out that there's quite a few Bamberger cars, and there's some that, and we're trying to get it a prototype, maybe add your own road numbers so you can buy multiples if you want to make up a fleet. And so we're looking at a couple different options, and maybe in and HO scale. We're also doing another division mini layout. I can't remember if we talked about this in the group last month. The mini layout that we did as a learning experience for division members, we raffled off, and we came away with $550 for the division, and that's going in the division funds. We're making a second layout to be raffled off at the November show, and we're accepting donations. The train shop in Salt Lake has offered to collect donations and get those to Jeff. Jeff and Lowell are the ones building it right now. And once it's to a completed state, it will probably be in the hobby stop in Orem to collect raffle tickets ahead of time, and then on site at the expo, raffle tickets will be collected. So that's just another fundraiser. So those are two different fundraisers that we're doing for the division right now, or in the process of doing. If you would like to volunteer for the expo in November, get a hold of Jeff. There's a couple other things, and I just want to just refer you to the newsletter. If you're not getting the newsletter, let me know. I'll make sure you're on the list. Rick is the one that maintains the email list. And I think that's about it. If you're on Facebook, definitely follow our Facebook group. And we've been posting a bunch of stuff there. So Kevin has our clinic. So I'm going to turn the time back over to Dalen if he wants to do little updates of what everyone's doing, or just jump into the clinic. And if there's time after, maybe do updates. That's up to Dalen.
I would say let's just get to Kevin on his clinic, and then we'll do updates and other business afterwards.
All right, that sounds good. Also, as a reminder, Kevin has a handout he sent to me. I'll get that up on the website this coming week, along with when I put the recording up.
Okay,
So
I'm going to need to be able to share screen, Dalen.
well, let's see if we can figure out how to do that. Let's see. All right, give it a shot, Kevin. See if it works.
Okay. Should be working now. Okay. Got to find my file here real quick. Wrong one. Okay, can everybody see this now?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Yeah, my screen's still showing white, so
Yeah, my screen is just white.
yeah. Let me try to restart it.
I can see that. Now it's white again. Can you maybe advance?
I'm doing this from my phone, so it's might have to do it this way.
Yeah,
Okay.
that works.
Okay. Excuse me. Wiring for DCC. Last time we did this was in February. I mentioned that I had to break this up into 3 sections: basic, intermediate, and advanced. For this to work with basic wiring, I covered it not matter what DCC system you have, all the wiring is the same. This section covers quick setup, operations such as wiring the track, turnouts, and reverse loops. For intermediate wiring, we're going to be adding more capabilities to the simple layout design, adding power districts, sub-districts, Loconet wiring, and accessories, making it more user-friendly, making it so that more people can run at the same time, and pretty much expanding upon what I've already talked about. In the advanced section, this is going to be all the fun stuff. I haven't even started preparing this one yet because there's so much involved with it. So, well, that's for a future day, way down the line. So today, expanding your layout. What we need to do is we will be using the same concepts that I talked about before, such as running the bus wires and setting all that up. So I'm not going to be covering much of that, but we will be going into deeper detail onto certain points of the electronics and the effects. And here's my disclaimer. Sorry, I do not know anything about NCE. This is going to be pretty heavily on Digitrax because that's what I use. That's what I know. I'm not going to get into the ins and outs. Like I said, it's all the DCC system depends on what you want. So we're not, it's like tomatoes and tomatoes type thing. But there are specific user groups out there, like for example, on groups.io, there's a Digitrax users group. If you have questions about your system, join one of those groups. They will actually be able to answer questions that you may not have or not understand. I do have a little bit of vocabulary that we got to go through today. Boosters. It's a box that we'll be adding to what we've already had. It's a power box. A power or a booster district. When a booster is added, this becomes a booster or a power district. So it's separating and becoming more. Sub-districts is where you actually take that power district and break it up in even smaller districts. Programming tracks, I'm going to touch on that. We're going to be touching on what Loconet is and, of course, the power bus. Under topics, we've got, again, our booster districts, dividing the sub-districts, how to set up the programming track, adding walk-around throttles. That's going to be in where we can add more people, separating using the Loconet and all the accessories. Tools, we're going to need some tools. Excuse me. To start, you're going to need your medium slip jaw pliers that we used in the last clinic, some needle nose pliers, your 6P, 6C crimpers. That's a new tool this time. You'll need your wire crimpers and strippers, Phillips screwdriver, some wire cutters, and our soldering iron. I use a 35 watt if anybody wants to know which one I use. So now Do you need to know if you need to upgrade your system? There was a question that was given in the last clinic about this. He was using a DCS52 and was wondering if they should upgrade. With a DCC, regardless of the system, the DCC signal will be the same, regardless. So your power output will be the 3 amps, 5 amps, or 8 amps, depending upon your power needs, such as N scale, HO, O scale, G scale, etc. So to answer the question, do I need an upgrade? I will ask this question in return. How many locomotives do you run or want to run? How many of those have sound? Digitrax uses a slot system. The slot is used by a locomotive address. Multiple locomotives will take multiple slots. So if you're going to MU2 locomotives, it will take 3 slots out of that. So a DCS52 runs at 15 slots. If you're using one of the older DB150s as a command station, that has 25 slots. The DCS 100 and the DCS 210 plus are at 100 slots. If you go with the new DCS 240, you now have 400 slots to your availability. So it all depends upon how big your layout's going to be and how much you're going to be using on that. So now we've got some questions. What command station do I need? How do you need a booster? How many locomotives? So how large is your layout? The larger the layout, the more power will be needed to operate it. Also look at what is happening on the layout. Do you have difficulty in troubleshooting electrical problems? Finding the groundlets that are in a large layout can be difficult at best, but with the addition of a few electronics and the breaking up of the layout electrically, this can solve many of this and make it easier to work. Again, how many locomotives do you plan on having? Do they all have sound? Because the more sound and the more power may be needed. Do you keep tripping the command station on startup? This happens a lot when you have a lot of sound locomotives. The inrush of power upon startup makes the command station think that there's a short and it will shut everything down. So there is a way to fix this, and we'll be going through that today. How many operators do you want to have running? Is it just you? Do you have 2? Do you have 3? Do you want to be able to have a large group? So more operators can cause more issues, such as shorts from people running through closed switches, derailments, not paying attention to what they are doing. So let's talk boosters. When do we want to add a booster? These pictures shows the NCE booster and the Digitrax booster. Digitrax recommends for a bus run to be no longer than 30 feet because of the signal degradation. So if you have a large layout plan with long runs, plan on adding boosters, because this will actually keep your power where you want. And I'm going to say this, always read your manuals. The manuals are so important when it comes to understanding how to set these boosters up. So boosters and power districts. When you want to split your layout into multiple sections electrically, you can add 1 or more boosters. The larger you layout, the more boosters you're going to need. When you split your booster into this even smaller, now you're getting into your sub districts. And I'm going to say this, when you're doing this, write everything down that you're doing. Get a nice diagram of your layout, like what I have here. This is actually my layout that I have at home, and make notes on it. Keep track of it, because when something happens and you go back to fix it, I can guarantee you're not going to remember exactly everything that you've done. Power supplies. This is going to be, you're going to need to know how much power you're going to need to run all this, because every time you add something, it's going to require power. So power strips are good for this. This one here is actually holds 12. I picked it up at Harbor Freight. And when I put it in, I now have one power switch that turns everything on to bring everything up. So there might be times where you need more power strips or power outlets because of where you end up putting everything. Now, where do you want to add your power district? You're going to need to divide your layout into portions. You can put it at the end of long bus runs, new additions if you're adding to it, but add your booster according to the manufacturer's recommendations. And you will set them up similar to your command station. Okay. Again, remember your 30-foot rule on the bus runs. And you don't forget that you're going to be needing Loconet cables. So now that we want to divide and subdivide, now we need to find the location. When you do this, you need to make sure that you add insulated rail joiners, or you insulate the track from each other, or you will cause major destruction. You do not want to take and destroy anything electrically, because it will start shorting everything out. So each power district has to be insulated separately from this. On your booster districts, you can see on the red line where I actually took and separated my layout. The layout that is showing is the room is 10 feet by 17 feet. My runs run up to about 30 feet in some areas. Some runs are even shorter. But when I upgraded, I first started out with DB 150 back in 2003. In 2013, I upgraded to the Super Chief Extra because it gave me more capabilities. And so I just kept the booster and decided to expand. And this is what it came out to be. I ended up breaking it into sub districts as well. With the track plan, you can see that if I didn't do this, trying to figure out electrical problems was going to be a nightmare. So this is what it looks like after I added my booster. On the left is the command station. On the right is the booster. They're connected using one ground wire, one Loconet cable. And then you can see where the power bus comes out from each one. Those are the red and white wires. Sub-districts, why? We'll talk about those. It protects the command station and your booster from shutting down. It works for any size layout. You can take a small layout with one command station and break it into multiple sections. If you have multiple operators, again, it keeps things from falling down, being broken. Shorts. When I ran with my dad on his DC, I got yelled at several times for shutting down the whole layout. It will also make your troubleshooting easier, because if one thing shuts down, it's not going to shut the whole layout down.
Kevin, can I interrupt real quick?
Sure.
I just want to reiterate what you're saying. I have a loop, inside loop, and a figure 8, and then an outside loop on the same layout. And on occasion, one of them will shut down, and I'll just be like, I don't want to troubleshoot right now. I just want to run the train. So I can still run a train on the other one when I have a short on the inside one. And so it's really helpful. Plus, when it does come time to troubleshoot, I only have to troubleshoot half the layout, not the entire layout. So
Right.
I'm an advocate for that.
Okay. When you separate into sub-districts, you will need additional electronics. Digitrax makes a PM42, a circuit breaker. DCC Specialties, they make a PSX circuit breaker. Those are the ones on the right. Those are solid state. Those are the ones that I chose. Now, if you do use the PSX there, and with Digitrax, there it does require a jumper, and it tells you in the instructions where to put that jumper on the circuit breaker. It makes the circuit breaker trip a little faster than the command station or the booster that Digitrax makes. So it gives an additional protection to the boost to your equipment. Again, you're gonna, with sub-districts, just like with power districts, you need to isolate them from everything else. Each one needs to be isolated from each other, or you'll end up tripping things and you really getting mixed up with where everything is. Now, where do you want to subdivide to make your power districts? This layout is 5 feet by 10 feet. This is a small one. This was wired originally DC. Okay. I don't know how many headaches I gave my dad when I tripped on this, because this was my dad's layout. Today, if I built this, rewired it, right now, there's no plans to do that. But I would use one command station to run this whole layout. But I would also subdivide that into 2 sub-districts. And I would, at the red line is where I would subdivide it. 1 yard per sub power district. That would make it so that one person isn't messing with the other one. DC originally on the far right hand side of this, you can see a nice dark line. There was a electrically insulated joint. A train would be sent from the left side to the right side and would stop, and the operator on the right side wouldn't bring that in until he was ready. With DCC, it will open up whole different operating scenarios to where you may end up with adding more people to operate. On sub-districts, now this is back to my layout. I split it up into 7 different sub-districts. Using a nice colored pencils, I used and marked where those districts were going to be. This comes back again, keeping track of what you've done so that you can troubleshoot. You want to take and make sure that you know where everything is and what section is causing the problem. Now, adding a programming track. Charlie, you wanted to know about this. There's several ways of doing this. Standalone and integrated. Adding a programming track that's standalone. That's very simple to do. The one that I'm showing here is one that I use to take to shows and the meets and stuff with me. I can set it down. I can program both HO and N scale on this. But once you're done programming, it's done. All you need is 2 wires to go to the command station and you're good. It's good for portability. Okay, integrated. This is where if you have a nice layout at home, if you don't have anything else, if you go with just a standalone programming track, all it's good for is programming a locomotive, and then it just sits there useless. The right track in this photo is my programming track. I have actually integrated it to where it can be used as an industry. And there's, you need to be able to set it up electrically so that you don't destroy anything, because for the programming track, there are 2 separate wires leading to your command station, separate from the power bus. Sorry about that. Let's see if I get this back to what I was doing.
Sorry, Kevin, I had to step away, run to the restroom. Were you done?
No, his Zoom got disconnected. It looked
Oh.
like.
Sorry, I just barely stepped into the restroom.
Well, it just barely disconnected. So.
Oh, there he is. He's back. Okay.
Yeah.
You're muted, Kevin.
Sorry about that. Somebody trying to call me and just kicked me off. So I'm gonna have to share again. So
Let's see. Okay. There you go.
okay, let's try this again. So yeah, I apologize for the what took place. Okay, here we go. As I was saying, on programming tracks and integrated, you've got 2 wires that go from the programming track to your command station. And so you're going to need to electrically isolate it from the rest of the layout so that you don't cause damage. And to do that, here's some diagrams. The diagram on the right is a 4-pole double throw toggle switch. The diagram on the right shows how to take and set up isolate the track. So to isolate your track, you're going to need a section of track that's approximately about the length of a locomotive. That is pretty much is dead track. So you're going to insulate both rails, the rail on both sides of that piece of track. Then you'll have one section that's all programmed and the other one to the layout. The switch, when you take and throw the switch, will shut the dead section off so that you can program. When you throw the switch to the other way, it puts power to that so you can use it. Here you can see the switch, how I have it set up. If I have it in run, the LED is turned off. When you have it in program, the LED will turn on. That way it lets me know how I have it set, where I have it set to. So, because if you take and don't have it set up like this, if you program something and you end up taking and crossing your gap, one set of gaps with your locomotive, you could end up reprogramming everything on the layout. And if you happen to running a locomotive from the layout and you happen to cross into your program track, you could end up frying your command station because it cannot handle the DCC signal from the power bus. Something else that I did is I took the UR92, which gives me wireless throttles, and I connected it to the power bus on the program track, so that when I turn the power on to the track to run, I get a nice little LED. You can see the orange LED in the dot light lit up in the middle on the left. So when it's on, that's on. So when the track power is off, so I'm not running trains, it'll be turned off. So I have a dual setup, so you can actually see if you what kind of problems you have, or if any at all. It actually helped me once to on a troubleshooting. I found a loose wire and I didn't have to go to anywhere but to that one track because of the way I have it set up.
Kevin, can you go back one screen?
Sure.
So my question is the one where that shows the track lit up, that's when your programming track is in normal
Turned off.
mode?
The
Turned off,
programming track is turned off. That LED will be lit up.
Okay, I got it. So then when you turn it on and the red light comes on your fascia, the light comes off on that.
Correct.
Okay, that's a cool idea.
Yeah. And I'll be talking on how to actually set that up too. So adding a throttle. Adding throttles can do a lot for you. If you're using a DCS 52, you can add a throttle to it. It makes it so that you're not standing in one spot. You can walk around, you can follow your trains, you can add more operators or users. It does take a little bit more hardware, such as a universal panel, or if you want full wireless capability, you're going to need a UR93, which is duplex. If you have some of the older throttles, such as a simplex, you'll need a UR91. The UR92 and the UR91 are discontinued and replaced by the UR93. However, they are still out there on the used market. So that's why I've included them here. The UR90 is still made. One of the things that the Digitrax has done with their throttles is they use infrared as well. So that's where you can point the throttle at the infrared part on the UR90, 91 or 92, and it'll pick up the signal. They come out with something new called the LNWI, which uses wireless phones. You can turn your phone into a throttle as well. So as we're adding throttles, like I said, the UR93 is a duplex. You don't need a tether. The UR90 is infrared. They're easily installed. Please read the instructions on them. When you add a throttle, the command station needs to know that it's there. So initially, like, you need to plug it in. The command station will see that the throttle's there. Once it recognizes the throttle, you can unplug it and walk around. You don't need to plug it back in unless you lose signal for some reason. And that's where the panels come in.
And Kevin, one thing that was cool, the last show we set up in Orem, I plugged in my throttle the first day and then didn't plug it in for 2 weeks straight where we were running, and I was totally fine using it.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, the command station will remember it. Every time you switch commands to a different layout, you'll have to plug it in so that it'll know. But again, yes.
Oh, one other thing. I don't know if it still holds true. I believe it does with UR90s. Digitrax on the simplex type systems, and I believe it's also on the UR90. That system, every time you want to change a locomotive, you have to plug in to the system.
Correct.
To acquire a new locomotive. So that is the difference between that and the duplex.
That's correct. That's correct. That's why they've gone full duplex. And I only mention it here because they're still out there on the market. You can find it in the used market. So that's why I mention it. A universal panel. Assemble it again per the manufacturer. It's this also with the UR90s and 91s and 92s. Assemble it. You do not use the silver screws to put on the front. You use the black screws because the silver screws are actually a power connection that to run the LED that I showed earlier. And you can use these to connect to your power bus and to your sub-districts to help with your troubleshooting. Because that little light, if you don't have power to your track, that little light won't light up if it's not hooked in. And I'll be talking about how to do that here real quick. On the installation, you can see how I've installed it here. On the left, you've got the two wires coming from the back to the bus, and that powers the little orange or red LED on the front. Then you've got your Loconet cables that go into the back as well. This again with the Loconet cables lets the throttles talk to the command station. Now, these little items do require power. You don't need to plug in a UP5 if you don't, but it's recommended. On the left-hand picture, on the right side of the PC board, you can see where the power jack is. Then you've got two Loconet jacks on the back. That's where the Loconet cables go in. Right in between the two jacks on the back of the board is a little silver dot. You can see it on this. On the right, I have a pigtail wire coming out of it. You can power up to 10 of these panels off of one PS14 or power supply, wall wart power supply, which makes it nice. You can just daisy chain them. So you don't need to have a bazillion wall warts plugged in. You just need one per 10 on these. And it makes it so easy to be able to run power to all your panels that way. Connect it to the DCC Power Bus. You're going to need some 20 gauge wire, your crimpers, connect it to the connectors using the two silver screws on the back. You want to make sure that every time you connect them the exact same way, same color to the right, same color to the left. That way, when something happens, you know the troubleshooting makes it easier. And that's what runs the LED on the power. When the track is lit, the LED lights. Loconet. The Loconet is what helps the command station talk to all the accessories, and it's separate from the power bus. This is it's a flat phone cable wire, and that's pretty much it's a communication cable. You need it. The recommended use is flat 6-wire telephone cable, and you will need RJ12 6P 6C connectors, not the RJ11s or any of the others, because of how the cables fit together. So let's build a cable. As you can see from the image, the connectors are going to be opposite of each other, because you need as if they were on the same side, you will not have a continuous communication link. And we do that using the 6-piece 8P crimper that I talked about earlier. It's the tool that's on the right. I found this one on Amazon for actually a really good price. You're also going to need your RJ12 6P 6E connectors. When you make the cable, you want to cut it to the length that you need. You'll need to strip the ends. The tool actually has a cutter and stripper on it to make this nice, clean cut and square to make it work for you. And as you can see, the 6 different colors. And on there, one thing you do not want to use is Cat 6 wire. It's actually not recommended. people that have actually have found more problems with it because of it's just the way that it's made. Use the recommended flat cable. Here you can see as we make the cable, the cutters on the crimper, put it in, cut, strip. It's very simple. Again, after you get it stripped, you insert the 6P6C into the connector into the crimper, insert your wires. The way I do it, I always have the blue wire facing me, the handles. I insert it, crimp it. I bring the other one up. I'll do the exact same so that it will always come out the same. I always put the same color configuration exactly the same. And this is what the cable looks like when it's finished. You can test these cables with what comes with the command station when you purchase it isn't called an LT1. This is the Loconet test cable. You plug it in, turn on the system, you'll get 3 lights. You turn on the power, everything will light up. If nothing's lighting up or you get 2 or less, then you've got a problem with the cable and you need to go back and either remake it or look for find the issue. On the accessories, they let you control switches, control signals. You can add a computer interface. You can add throttles. Most are plug and play, and they're easily via daisy chain. So are there any questions? Hello? Shoot.
You got a quiet crowd, Kevin.
Okay, I thought I'd lost the signal again.
Nope, you just got a quiet crowd, at least as far as I can tell.
Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much what I was going to cover on this. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Nobody has questions for
Kevin, I just want to comment on how thorough that presentation was. I just happen to be teaching myself DCC right now in preparation for planning my layout. And based upon the reading that I've been done, you've covered all the points very thoroughly, and I really appreciate your efforts.
Good.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Good job, Kevin.
Okay.
All right. Well, whoops, it would help if I didn't mute myself. Let's see here. Let's see. I don't think we've really got anything. We'll just go around and just, I guess, go to everybody, see if they've got anything to add, projects they're working on, so forth and so forth. This might be a short meeting and just kind of see where everybody's at. And oh, wait, before we do that, real quick, Jeff, is there anything you want to cover on the show in November that maybe we've got a few people here that didn't hear?
Yeah, for the show, we're going to need a lot of volunteers. So one of the volunteers we need is a volunteer coordinator, which is his job description is a cat herder. So we figured out how many people we need for different areas. We're going to need to have ticket handlers. We're going to need to have people to manage the kids' hands-on stuff. We'll need a few folks to roam around as roaming security. Just keep one eye out to make sure that brass locomotives don't walk off. And also to help set up and again, take down. So those are the main areas. Also, another one that came to mind is the hospitality suite. We'll have coffee and some kind of refreshment there for the show participants, not the general public, but just the show participants. So they can come in and get a free cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever we offer, to water or whatever we offer there. So we need somebody to handle that.
Jeff, I'll work with hospitality.
Okay.
Charlie Kraft.
Okay, got you. You're on the list.
Thank you.
And let's see.
It be noted that ticket handling does not involve money. One of the things we've had to do with the pandemic is guarantee that our ticket takers wouldn't be handling money.
Yeah, so what you'll do, the ticket handler will receive the printed receipt that the people get from online buying their tickets, and you'll issue appropriate wristbands. And that's another thing the security folks will wandering around is trying to notice anybody that's wandering around without a wristband. Ask them kindly to go over and do the ticket place and do what necessary to get a wristband.
Hey, Jeff, could you put me down for the setup and tear down on that?
Sure, Mark.
Yep. And I don't know, maybe security or something. We'll see, but while the show's going on, how I can help.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Also, I got to share when we're done here.
Okay. Hey, Jeff, one thing I was just thinking about, if we're not going to be accepting money, one thing that we may want to encourage people to do, if they either don't want to sign up or whatnot, is, are we going to be accepting credit card?
No, we're going to have, right now we're just thinking of you get your tickets online from Eventbrite.
Okay. Well,
I think we should have the ability to take credit cards.
yeah.
And the cash restriction hopefully will be removed by November.
Jeff,
Yeah.
this is Charlie P. If somebody sees someone without a wristband and they have no way to get one, basically you're throwing them out.
Because what I was going to say is, if we're going to have the ability is to encourage people, they can simply go across the street over to probably the Harmons, or it might be the Best Buy, and they can probably get a prepaid credit card with cash and bring that back over, and then they can sign up, or they can get money if we're deciding not to use cash. So that might be an option that I know a lot of people suggest. But anyway, just an idea.
Okay, we'll look into to getting some square readers there to take credit cards at the door. That'll save us a couple of bucks that we don't have to pay to Eventbrite. So. A word on the layout that we're going to raffle off. We're looking for things like a couple of N-scale houses, a few businesses, and a small industry or a small farm to fill out the Durango side. If anybody has pictures of Durango that we can stitch together and make a photo backdrop for it, that would be a nice thing too. You can email those to me. The donations of the parts we need, you can drop them off at either the Orem Hobby Stop or the train shop in out of Gardner Village. Any questions?
Quiet crowd, Jeff.
Yeah, that's what Kevin found out.
Yeah, very quiet.
Are you good, Jeff?
Yeah, that's all I've got.
All right. Well, I tell you what. Let's just we'll go around the table, as it were. I'm sorry if I'm a little quiet. I'm stirring my late breakfast, early lunch. Let's see, Charlie. You got anything you want to talk about real quick? Show and tell, or clinics?
I'm going to set up some clinics starting in August. I think in July, I'm going to talk to Jeff about an idea I have. Excuse me. Anybody who wants to do a clinic, please contact me. My information is in the Golden Spike newsletter. And on a personal thing, I've tried to use the Easy Command by Bachman, and I got a bad controller. It would not power on. So I'm trying to get it, see how I can either get it fixed or returned. So
Okay. Do you have any other DCC systems, by the way, or just that one?
no, just that one. I did
Okay.
pick up a power box at the Hostler's estate sale. Got it for $50.
What's a power box?
It's one where it has you get your power to to your system and such. It's like computers power supply.
Oh,
It's
okay.
got its own
Okay.
fan and such. So I was going to use that because I couldn't use for my turnouts and that I couldn't use the DCC command.
Okay, I got you.
So that's what I'm going to be using that for when I get a little more caught up with what I'm doing in my garage.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's see. Jeff, unless you got anything else to add. for
No, I
projects?
think that's all I need to say.
Okay. Blaine.
Yes. The only thing I would say is we're starting up our construction crew Wednesday next week at 10 a.m. They've chosen to come to my house to work. If someone wants to come see my layout, I'll just extend a general invitation to membership if they like to stop by.
Okay. Let's see. Cindy. You
Hi,
got anything?
everyone. So I'm the new membership chair. Well, I've been for a couple months, so I've been working on that and trying to get to know everyone. So if you have any ideas for increasing membership or membership retention, let me know.
I'd like to see us get I'd like to have a brainstorming meeting, possibly on a Zoom call or something like that, to look at the prospects of doing, some brainstorming on that, but I don't really have any ideas right off the top of my head, at least right now. So
That's a good idea.
all right, let's see. Charles, unmute yourself, or it looks like you're on the phone. If you're busy, just wave your hand. We'll come back to you. I think he's on a phone call. Let's see. Kevin, did you have anything else to add? You're muted.
I didn't have anything else to add, no.
Okay.
Dayland?
Yes, Charlie. Yep, you muted us again.
Yeah, this is Charlie Persinger, and I'm back with you now. The only thing I've managed recently is that locomotive, which now has sound and lights and everything a locomotive can have. And I'm so appreciative for the help Jeff gave me.
Well, cool. Jeff's over there with a grin on his face. I guess take him out for a drink or something like that. So it's good to hear. Maybe I'll call on you I've got a Rail Pro engine or decoder I need installed. So maybe I'll call on you. No, I'm just kidding.
Glad you're kidding.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. Mark, just share with what you got going on and so forth.
Hi, everyone. It's been a couple months since I've been to the last meeting, and I just want to give you a quick update on what I'm doing. I've been preparing the garage. Have to do some waterproofing. I've cleaned it out pretty well. Got my workshop set up out there now. Once I do some of the finishing on the inside, then probably this fall, I'm going to put some bench work in and go from there. I wanted to share the trees that I've been working on here. Kevin, a while back, did a clinic on trees, and I found it to be really inspirational for some things that I needed to do. I model southeastern railroads, and so there's a lot of different types of trees down there. One of them that's down there is a cypress tree, and so I'm going to see if you guys can see this at all. Here's the two that I have so far. They have Spanish moss on them, and they have the buttresses down here at the bottom. They grow out of the water, and they're twisted wire. And I've done some fiber fill for the Spanish moss and tried to paint them and have the watermarks on there and whatnot. And they're kind of labor intensive for sure. But the nice thing about where I model in Georgia, that there's probably more pine trees and tupelo that grow than this, the cypress. So I can mix it up with a little bit of easier trees. And just another thing that I did, I had, the Cornerstone Golden Valley Depot. I went ahead and kind of did it up in a Southern style. I don't know if you can see that at all. I'm trying to work on some weathering and stuff and modify it a little bit to kind of capture the feel down there. But yeah, I got a lot of side projects going on, learning about DCC. Maybe going to do some 3D printing for a bridge that I'm working on. And hopefully moving forward, and this winter would be probably a good time to get doing some progress on the layout. So thanks. Good to see everybody.
Mark, I got some bad news for you. You just stuck your foot in your mouth. You just lumped yourself into being a host for a bunch of clinics.
Well, okay.
You just stuck your hand up. You're gonna get tapped. Charlie's writing down really quick. All right.
You got that right.
Yeah, just let me know what I can do. I'll share with you what I'm working on and see if I have any value to offer.
All right. Well, I'm sure you do, but you just looked yourself into a bunch of clinics. All right. Well, good to hear. That's exciting. So
thanks.
Good to hear that. Let's see. Rick, I think Tag, you're the last one. You're it.
Well, not too much going on. Mainly been with the warmer weather, getting the house, or not necessarily the house, the yard back in shape. Doing a little bit of work on structures and whatnot. Hope at one of our future meetings that I've talked to Jim a little bit about it. Charlie, I don't know if you talked to you at all about it. Maybe presenting kind of how we go through the AP certification process, where maybe we'd have the group come and do one of the evaluations, kind of like they do at a division meet or convention or a national convention, where they break people up into groups. And so I've been preparing some structures and possibly a car kit or two that we can display and have everybody tear it to pieces for fun.
Okay. Rick, why don't you just go ahead and send me an email of all those JP things that we're working on, and I'll get back with you and we'll set it up.
Okay.
All right, great. Let's see. Well, I'm sure everybody's probably been wondering what I've been up to. I have been working on, let's see here. I have been working a lot on dealing with JMRI and let's see if I can get it to come up. Well, there we go. No. Let's see. In dealing with some car forwarding in operations. And for any of you who use JMRI, it has a car forwarding option that allows you to forward. I'm working on trying to update a car forwarding iteration for any of you who've ever done Jim Hep or visited Jim Hepner's layout in West Valley. He was on the operation or the layout tours for the 2019 convention, going through and fixing it up and doing switch lists. So hopefully maybe by later this year, I'm still trying to figure it out. We'll be able to get a clinic for anybody who wants to dabble in this. I'm also working on car cards, a car card update for Gary Peterson. Let's see if I can get a switch list. So yeah, building switch lists for trains. Also doing car cards for Gary Peterson and working with Lee Nicholas up in Corinne on some rewiring projects for his layout. So I've been pretty busy. We've also been working, we did the Fremo setup in April, and we've got a Fremo setup tentatively scheduled for the latter or the first part of September. So that's what I've been up to. So any case, anybody else have anything before we end the meeting? This is a pretty quick one. Let's see, Blaine, do we need a motion to adjourn the general meeting?
Nope, we just close it and say, see you next time.
Okay, well, nothing else, guys. We'll see you next time. Hope everybody enjoyed it, and we'll
Bye, everyone.
talk to
Thanks.
you later.
See everybody later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.